Wow. 4 years of podcasting. Before we sit down, talk to upcoming young killer Adam Olsen from UBC, just wanted to take the opportunity to say thanks to everybody. What an adventure it's been for 4 years, the ups and downs. At times, if I'm being totally honest, thinking, do I have the time and energy to continue the show? But honestly, I get so much benefit from it. And when people stop or send us a DM and say, love the content, really appreciate it, great show, keep it up, those words are inspiring and they keep us motivated. As we had our celebration this past Sunday, looking around the room, seeing faces, people that have never played past high school, some that have made it to coaching in the NBA, national championships, you name it, and all in between. In the end, the common factor is storytelling. Regardless of how your career went, or if you're an official, whatever it is, it's the storytelling. It's the ability to be vulnerable and share who you are and why you went through the things you did, how you overcame them, successes, the failures, and all in between. And then now, how you continue to move on. And so we thank every single person, all 133 guests that were able to coordinate time, energy, and effort on their behalf, just to share their story. Selfishly, sure, they get to share a little bit of them. They get to speak about themselves, but it also does take courage. And it's not something that comes easy to a lot of people. To our sponsors, ATO B-Ball, Mountain West Roofing, PGC Basketball, and Parkside Brewery. You obviously know this podcast wouldn't be possible without you. It would, but not to the level that we are able to run it at. Your support, the fact that you appreciate what we do, and your willingness to be a part of our team means the world to Carl and myself. To the big man, Carl Sabula, after Corbin was no longer up for editing the podcast and moving on with things, I was trying to figure out how things would look. And you and I obviously have a long going relationship. I coached you. I watched you grow post-secondary wise as a player in person. And you've always just been a great calming influence to the people around you. You're a kind and compassionate young man. And it's no surprise that you've been able to build your own business and make it a success because you're trustworthy, you're reliable, and you're hardworking. When you say you're going to do something, you get it done. And I've never had one fear that our podcast wouldn't get released on time, or that something wouldn't come up. So for you to step in and be a part of this adventure with us means a lot. I'm grateful for you. I would not be able to do this without you because I have no clue how to edit, how to throw in music, how to add a commercial. That's the old head in me. So thank you. I also want to give a special shout out to my wife, Reagan. And you might roast me for this out there, you people, but go ahead, hit me in the DMs. The nights where you have to put Eli to bed and I start to record, allowed me the opportunity to host events, to do things, to be on my phone more than I should, to share social media and stuff like that. I appreciate you and I love you very much. To everybody out there, for the listeners, again, thank you. Some of you have literally gone front to back with us like an album. You've gone from episode 1 with Dom Zimmerman, and now you're about to go to episode 133 with Adam Olsen. It doesn't matter if you haven't listened to every episode, but I do want to give a special shout out to those that have sort of been the ride or dies from day one. And if you haven't, I would invite you to go to an episode, find one that maybe it's someone you don't know. I think you're going to learn a little bit. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation. And I think you will definitely take something away that maybe you can apply to your life, or maybe that will inspire you to listen to another one. And that's sort of how podcasts work. Go back into the vaults, pick a name, do a Google search, and check it out. My hope is that you will not be disappointed. Let's keep it rolling, everyone. I'm excited. I can't wait for episode 1133. And I truly mean that. Unless something comes up, I don't see this podcast stopping. Appreciate the support. And yeah, 4 years. What a great time. It's time to start year number 5. And we're going to do it then another with Mr. Adam Olsen. Peace and love, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Hoops Journey. Excited to sit down with this young gunner, young killer, a gentleman who I wouldn't say I had the pleasure coaching against when he was in high school, had to deal with coaching against him. Bit of a handful, coming off a fantastic season with the UBC Thunderbirds on the Can West All-Rookie team. Recently was picked 4th overall by the Vancouver Bandits, which I know we'll get into, which is really dope what they're doing. And I know exciting thing for him to see what the pro game is like. A guy who's got 4 years of eligibility left. I'm seeing future All-Canadian and seeing if he can help get the Birds to the mountaintop. But he's just coming off finishing his first full year academically and athletically. We have none other than Elgin Park's GOAT, Mr. Adam Olsen. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm all right. You know, it's we just wrapped up the high school all-star game last weekend, which you were a part of last year. And, you know, we've had our team banquet and we've done our exit meetings. So now it feels like the door is closed on basketball for now. As you know, these guys are all moving on to club and doing their thing. So a little bit of, I don't want to jinx it and say free time, because there's always something else. You'll realize when you get to my age that there's always something, whether it be your wife or partner or your friends, they got something. But things are good, man. The weather's changing. It's a nice time to be a PE teacher. How about you? What's going on? School all wrapped up for you? Or you still got a couple exams left?
I got a couple exams coming up here in the next few days, and then I'm officially done my first year.
And so what was that like for you? What are you taking? Have you decided, have you declared anything yet? Or are you just sort of...
I'm just in arts right now. I'm taking like political science, intro to business, those types of courses. But yeah, really trying to see where I want to go in the future beside basketball. Yeah.
Sure. Obviously, me being a high school teacher and you someone just finishing your freshman year, do you feel like there's a kind of like an unfair pressure, especially attending a university like UBC where you're 17 and a half, 18 years old, and you got to start making decisions? And there's financial things behind them right now. You know, UBC's probably got you on some sort of scholarship, but still, like, there's things on the line. And it's at times, did you feel like you're just jumping through hoops a little bit, or did you start to connect to the things you were learning, or was it just like, I just got to get through this and ball and figure it out?
I mean, in the beginning, it was tough getting used to the, you know, high school. It was all schedule, but university, I mean, you can wake up and not go to class. Like you have you're not forced to go, right? So it's definitely some taking used to, but then I ended up getting in stride by the second half of the year. And yeah, I ended up getting used to it. And I'm confident now going into my second year that I won't have those hurdles to have to climb over. But
yeah. If you were going to rewind 364 days and you could give some advice to someone, maybe there's a rookie coming in next year after your year that you've had, what would it be, do you think?
Hit the weight room. I thought I was lifting enough, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, heavy enough. I wish I would have pushed myself 2 times harder, and then coming in would have been, even easier, right? It just makes having your body be able to be against, especially in youth sports, because there's 5 years of eligibility plus the COVID year, you're playing against 24, 25-year-olds, guys from Montreal who had CJAP, you're playing against 21-year-old rookies. If you're straight out of high school from BC, you got to be physically ready to play. So that's what I would tell myself or another high schooler right now. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Right on. Well, let's go back, dude. Let the listeners know what was your life like as a little guy, little Adam running around? Like, what did you play a lot of sports? Was basketball a thing for you? And then why did basketball start to come into your life a little bit and be something that you were drawn to?
Yeah, so when I was 4, 5, 6, 7, like any other kid, like I would play hockey, baseball. I tried being a hockey goalie, let in like 15 goals my first game. That didn't continue. Couldn't really play baseball. It was too slow. no offense to any baseball players, but it was.
No, I love baseball too. I'm a big Cubs guy.
Yeah.
My son he's full ADHD. We put him in it, and I was like, yo, this is a nightmare. Like, this is not for him. Like, he just couldn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think you're not alone there. Yeah.
I played football, I felt like I was always going to get hurt, had a couple bad tackles. And so I stopped that. But then basketball, well, I actually remember this moment. We were in the drive every single day in the driveway. We would play buckets, me, my brother, my sister, and my dad. And I was young, so I would be on the mini hoop outside. And then my brother would be shooting from the free throw line. My sister would be shooting from the free throw line on the big guy hoop. And then we would make my dad shoot from the end of the driveway, right?
So you're the young one.
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
And one day I was like, I'm fed up. I'm not shooting on this little kid hoop anymore. I go outside. I throw it up there on the 10-foot hoop, goes in. I go tell everyone in my family, come outside. I can shoot on the big guy hoop now. And I just keep chasing that feeling now. That was one of the best moments. It seems like such a simple moment, but I still remember that. And I think that was the moment where it's like, okay, basketball is going to be what I'm chasing now.
I think like kind of the purity of it too, right? Like baseball, I love it too, but like, you need someone to throw a pitch to you, or like, what are you going to do? Throw a ball off the wall and catch it for 2 hours? Like hockey, you need pads. I mean, it's lovely to get on the ice or whatever. Hoops is so great because it's just you and your basketball and your hoop. And, and I think it's a unique thing about it. And it's funny that that's a moment that sticks out to you. So from there, like, you born and raised South Surrey, White Rock? Have you guys moved from somewhere? Have you always been part of that community?
Straight Ocean Park, between Crescent Beach and White Rock Beach, right in there. It's funny, actually, our Elgin team, we talk about all this recruiting in high school and stuff. Our Elgin team was all from the same avenue, all from the same street. I could go across the street. There's my teammate. Up the street, there's my other teammate. It was great.
Yeah. Well, when we came out and played you guys, it was the year, it was after COVID, and then it was like, but there were no fans, remember? And like, we almost snuck one out on you guys, but you got about 408 offensive rebounds on us. I still haven't moved on, but I was like, yo, we might pluck this one out, but we didn't. And so Kirk and myself, I played with Mike in college, and then, got to know Kirk quite well over the years. And so we went out for a beer after the game, and Mike just said, yeah, I'll be 20 extra minutes because I got to drop all the guys off. I'm like, what do you mean? And so we sit down, and he tells me, he's like, no, literally, like, I go house to house, and I'm like dropping off body after body. I'm like, that is wild. And that's super cool. At what point did you start to connect with that group of guys and realize, like, all right, literally, like in a block's radius, I've got all these guys that love hoops? Did it take a while to realize that? Or was it something when you just started to play a lot more ball?
Well, I went to an elementary school it was a private elementary school outside of the area. So I didn't get to connect with all the guys from the Ocean Park Elementary. But shout out to Kirk. He started Crescent Beach Crush. I'm sure you know about Crescent Beach Crush. That's where I got to meet all the guys. And, I used to play up with them, like the guys a year older than me. I used to play with them. That's really how we started connecting, and then started hanging out off the court. And then it blossomed into now, hopefully, lifelong friendships for sure.
So did you go to that elementary like all the way up to grades? Like, is Elgin 9 to 12 or is it 8 to 12?
8 to 12. So I went to that private from kindergarten to grade 7. Yeah.
So did that shift things for you? Like, were you in elementary thinking you were just going to go to a private like high school, or was the plan always to go to Elgin after?
Yeah, there was definitely thoughts of going to a school like Holy Cross or like closer ones like that. But I think my dad really wanted me to go to private school, public high school, probably because of Kirk playing in the Crush. And then he always actually thought, I don't know if Kirk knows this, but he saw how tall Kirk was, and he saw he had 2 sons. So he's like, Adam, you're going to play with a 7-footer. So he put me in Elgin, or he hoped Thomas would also play with a 7-footer, but Kendall didn't get to 7 feet. But Dylan was close. I played with a 6'10" guy. I'll say that. So.
Yes, sir. You know what? He still might end up being 7 feet. Who knows, right?
He's close.
And so you talk about Thomas and stuff. What was that relationship like growing up? And was there a referee? Was it figured out for yourselves? Was it a mentor? Like, talk about that a little bit, because that's unique too.
Thomas is the best defender I've ever played against. Because he knows every single one of my moves.
True.
And we would play we've played thousands of games on one-on-one, and I could never beat him. And then right when I hit my growth spurt around grade 10, we had one practice at a BC Prep, the athlete place.
Yeah.
And I hit a bank shot from like half court, finally beat him. Well, that was another one moment. One of the best moments when I finally beat my brother in ones. But yeah, he's always challenged me. He's always pushed me. And, seeing his success, he's my brother. I got to beat him. So, I got to beat out what he did on the court. So he's always been pushing me. And yeah, I'd say a mentor as well. Yeah. And he's academically, he's the academics guy.
On point. Yeah.
He's the 100 average, teachers saying, hey, you can't get over 100% in my course. So that's also something I need to take from him. But yeah.
Did you feel a little like once you knew basketball was your thing, you have the growth spurts. So it's like, when you're in high school and especially in BC and you're a little bit taller, there's more eyes on you. Did you feel pressure from that? Or was it like, I'm just going to carve my own path? Like, what are the conversations like around the dinner table? Sounds like your dad had a bit of a vision for you guys and was willing to support you in whatever. Was he hands-on, or was he sort of like, hey, I'm here if you need me? What's that like for you guys?
I wouldn't say there was a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He said where he wanted me to go. He always said, oh, SFU, UBC, these closer schools, but also he wanted to support wherever I would go. So he was a lot, really very hands-on. He always liked to train me. He always liked to help me out, rebound for me and talk to other coaches and stuff. He always loved, he's one of the most personable guys I know, like the way he would talk to, my current coach, Kevin Hansen, or other coaches when we'd go on visits. So he was very supportive and also very hands-on at the same time.
Mm-hmm. When you needed him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, let's go back to Kirk a little bit. I mean, obviously like him and I really, like when I first had the chance to actually get to know him and really chat with him, I was like, yo, this is a really good guy.
Yeah.
And so you've touched on him a little bit already. But talk further about that, especially you get to play for a program where you've got a guy who's willing to travel you to the States, takes you down to Cali. Like a lot of other coaches just aren't willing to do that. Running a full-time business. He's not a teacher coach, right? He's volunteering his hours. And I remember the thing that stuck out for me that night when we played you guys is they were like 20 minutes before the game because they had finished up a junior game because Mike and him are coaching both. And I think the game went to overtime. And so they had to rush over. And that's just a unique scenario, a guy like that to give all those years of commitment. And sure, selfishly, his sons are there through those times, right? But there's still 12, 13 other dudes that he's committing to and giving time to. And just talk a little bit about him and what he's meant for you through all the years and then, figuring out what you wanted to do after high school as well.
Well, he's the reason Elgin had any success. Like he wasn't even just there for his sons. Like he was there years before when they were winning one game every year.
Mm-hmm.
They were, Elgin was pretty bad. And then obviously he was really, I didn't really, I knew him in the Crush days, but him and my brother were very close. Okay. So then I knew I was like going into high school after my dad actually coached me grade 8 and 9. And then the COVID year was grade 10, but I knew that I was going to be in good hands grade 11 and 12. So we started building that relationship. And, a big reason that I was able to have success was because he had faith in me. He trusted, in my skill set and put me in situations to succeed. And he would also, reach out to coaches for me. And when I was really chasing that American dream, no one really knows about this, but he was sending me coaches emails, who to email, and he was reaching out on my behalf to coaches. So yeah, it was, he's been great. And he's one of the main reasons that I'm here for sure.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And just great story. Like the guy needs to be on the podcast, but he keeps saying no. He says he doesn't have a good enough. So I'm like, dude, you played at USC, man.
He's saying no. I'll say this we lost.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to bring it up, but after we lost in grade 11 in the finals against St. Pat's, that locker room atmosphere, the story he told us, people need to hear that. It was an emotional story, but I'll go talk to him because that people need to hear that story because that motivated every single one of us in that locker room and lifted our spirits after losing a championship game. So I'll get on him about that.
Nice. Do it. So let's get into those 2 years, grade 11 and 12, obviously knowing You're going to have success. You've got talented teams, guys that have grown up and played together. Is there ever a point where, like, what's practice like? Do you guys get chippy because you've known each other so long? Does it get a little bit, scrappy like brothers? Spending that much time together, but also knowing that everybody's got that common goal of trying to get to that championship level.
Hey, practices were tough. Practices, not, one side you had Kirk. If he would come home from a rough day at work, he's running us. He's taking out his anger on. He's doing 17s. We're doing 17s. That's the one side. And then obviously the players, we all wanted to make each other better. So yes, there were some times when we were, beefing with each other or being scrappy, or, Lucas Rawlings, the big football player, gives someone an elbow, so there was a lot of scrappiness, but everyone wanted to make each other better. And I'm sure Kirk wanted to make us better with the 17s. He wasn't just taking his anger out, but I think he was.
Was there a time where in that grade 11 year where you guys kind of were like, obviously, you talked about it, we're like, yeah, we have a chance to be there, but was there a moment or something where you thought, hey, like we can make a run at this thing legitimately? Or was it just a belief throughout the season?
Oh, we talked about it when my grade 10 year got canceled. After, because we're all on the same street, we would all hang out, and we knew, like, going into this next year, if obviously the province would allow basketball, we're going to win this thing. Like, that was our mindset. Like, we have the team, we have the depth, we're going to win this thing. So it never in the year we thought, oh, we don't have a chance. Like, we thought 100% we got a chance to make it to the finals and take home a deserving ring for the team. But
for sure.
Yeah.
And then through the grade 11 year, are you thinking about post-secondary yet? You just trying to enjoy your experience? Are you taking it as it comes? Are you getting any looks? Talk about, for the younger people that might listen to this, let's talk about the recruiting process for you. We'll get to UBC eventually, but, was there anybody knocking on your door in grade 11, and how did you work through that?
Yeah, so no one knew who I was. No coaches knew who I was. Grade 10 coming out of COVID.
Okay.
And there was a Team B.C. tryout, and that was the best basketball I've ever played. So to any kids listening, any players listening, you got to go to these ID camps. You got to go to these tryouts, because you never know who's watching. So after that, I believe SFU came knocking, I believe it was August or September. So I went on a visit September or October of that grade 11 year. And that was the first school who ever reached out. And it was strictly because of how well I played in that one ID camp or the one tryout. So to anybody, you got to go out to these things, and you got to try to get in front of some eyes. Even if you don't think anyone's watching, someone is watching. And so that's how that started.
And when you're playing, are you thinking like, I'm hooping right now, like this is happening? Or like, are you just kind of playing and then realizing after the weekend, you're like, whoa, that was good? Well,
that's funny. So Kirk actually gave me a book. It's called The Inner Game of Tennis.
Okay.
And they that's a recommended read as well, Inner Game of Tennis.
Okay.
They talk about that. And I actually read this book, one of the only books I've ever read in my life. They talk about this when you're in that flow state. So when I'm hooping like that, it's in the back of my mind, but it's said in that book, don't acknowledge it, because then it might just go away. Just go with the flow state, try to stay in it. And then I'm always keeping with that. Even some games in UBC, when I'm in that flow state, I just don't try to mention it. Stay humble, stay with it, and then it keeps working out. So that's a piece of advice I would give.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce another amazing sponsor of the show. Without the sponsorship, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we can. We make no money off the podcast, so if anybody wants to do that, let us know. But we have some really good guys from the community. They love the game of basketball. Deep roots from Pitt Meadows, the high school game. Their coach, Rich Goulet, meant a lot. Mike and Jeff from Mountain West Roofing have stepped up to be a sponsor. They recently were just over at my place. I had a pretty big leak actually in our back room, and they were professional, on time, good communicators, everything that you would want in a good business, especially roofing, where maybe a lot of us don't really know what we're doing. These are guys that you can trust, and I'll put my name and stamp on that and the show's name. They're also running the Coach G Classic basketball tournament this summer in memory of the great late Rich Goulet. If you and some buddies are looking to get a team in and want to get a run in the summer, the tournament runs July 6th and 7th, and they're looking for a couple more. It's going to be at Brickwood Park in Maple Ridge, and they'd love to have you out. You can DM us at the podcast, The Hoops Journey. You can also find them at coach.g.classic and look them up as well. And in the end, just look up Mountain West Roofing. Their website is www.mwroofing.ca. Read the reviews. They're the real deal. Highly recommend, and we appreciate them being a sponsor. Now back to the show. Nice. And especially when you go from being like a dominant high school player where, you know, your teams need you to score 20 to 30 a night. And then that freshman year of, hey, it might be 18 minutes tonight. It might be 7, you know, it might be a start one night. It might be not a lot the net, you know, and sort of keeping that even keel. And that was one thing I watched you're clearly an intense guy, but it didn't show, like it never affected your game, I don't think. But I think it was also, you're very poised, if that makes sense. Like if I was to describe your game, like it was very, which is kind of annoying when you're playing against someone like that and they're just getting bucket after bucket, but they're not like, what? And like, you know, or like you get a bucket on them and they don't get pissed off. It's just like, get me the ball back.
Yeah.
And, you know, is that fair to say? Is that a fair assessment of what I was seeing in you?
Yeah. I try to stay calm because, you don't want to, you know, so Kevin likes to say over arousal. You get too aroused when you're playing, and then you make bad decisions and you do the wrong thing. So I try to keep it even keel. But I think one thing I'll say about my game that I do complain a little bit when I think I get fouled. I put up these sometimes, but overall, I think I am a calm player. Like I like to play calm.
The hands up guy, hey.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk grade 11, right? Obviously, you guys make a run to the BCs. You lose in the final. Heartbreaking game, right? Some interesting decisions by the officials along the way, and some moments that you'll probably hang on to for the rest of your life. I've been on both ends, man. When I was in grade 11, we won it all. When I was in grade 12, we were going for the 3-peat at Terry Fox, and we lost in the first round, and we were the number 1 seed. So,
wow,
lived some nightmares myself, man.
Yeah.
After that game and that defeat, and the locker room, and you have some time to reflect. How do you pick yourself back up and just be like, you know what, I'm getting after that? But also a unique thing for you guys because you jump a tier. You go from 3A, and now you're playing 4A. So you're in the South Fraser, and the landscape changes a little bit. What's the conversation like? Or is it like, hey, let's just get back to work, and you have a really good summer with Basketball BC again and do that thing and talk about that?
Yeah, a lot of us were, I guess, upset that we were moving up to Quad A because we were like, hey, we want to try to get this back the next year because I think we could have for sure with the team we had.
Mm-hmm.
But then we were also like, we get to play on, AAA is the second biggest stage. Quad A is the biggest schools.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, okay, we motivated ourselves, and Kirk was really like, hey, let's get after it. Let's go try to win a 4A. Doesn't matter about 3A. And yeah, we came in with a lot of motivation to make our mark, and I think we did. No one thought Elgin was going to be able to do anything, and upsetting St. George's, losing on the buzzer beater to Kelowna. We did it. We put a lot of work into actually not even get 5th or 6th place in the provincials, but even just make the provincials. Right? We had to beat Holy Cross, we had to beat Timanowis, we had to beat Tweedsmuir, we had to beat some really good teams to get in there, and it's a testament to even the Elgin program, like how we were able to move up from the AAA to Quad and even make the provincials, and let alone make a statement like that, come in 6th. So
for sure, yeah. That's what I was going to say. Essentially, you had Semi in the South Fraser. They're like a lock, and then who was the other team that made it? You guys
Fleetwood.
and Fleetwood. Oh, Fleetwood, South Fraser. So there you go. So not only that, you're competing against the 2 teams that end up making the final, for God's sakes, right? And I agree. I think not many people expected you guys And I would agree. I think it's a testament to the coaching staff and to the boys. I mean, Dylan was still super raw, right? And so you're dealing with that. And that Kelowna game was wild, man. Like, what's going through your emotions for those that saw the game? Like, that was absolutely nuts. I remember watching the stream at home. It was crazy.
Yeah. I got that bad turnover. Still remember it. Nash, Semenuk picking me. And then I made up for it with that fade. And then, they just hit a lucky shot.
Did it bank?
Yeah. Bank on my head from the volleyball line. Crazy. But, I saw it go in. And it's like, what can you do at that point, right? You just got to go on to the next game.
If you play enough hoops, you're going to be around some crazy ass games, and some are going to go in your favor and some aren't, right? Like, it's just going to happen. So it is what it is. I mean, we talk on this show a lot, 133 episodes. Everybody's got a different story and things, but not many people, you guys didn't get a championship. You didn't get a ring. That was the ultimate goal, but you made a quarter and a final. You think about how many dudes just in the city alone who would flip that with you in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
Like, playing in big time games, playing in big time moments. There's a lot of guys that would want those opportunities, no doubt.
Sure.
Yeah. So your things wrap up, but along the process of your senior year, who else is talking to you? Was there anybody else that was in your ear? You mentioned SFU. Was there anybody that maybe Coach Hansen doesn't want to know that had a real close opportunity to get you to, or was UBC, like, when did you know that UBC was the spot?
Well, I committed pretty early, so I kind of knew UBC was the spot pretty soon. But
why did you choose that? You just wanted to get it off your plate and you felt comfortable with your choice and figured, hey, no matter what happens here, I think this is my best scenario, kind of thing?
Yeah, and I started to learn more about the CBL, and I started to. I was in the works of getting my Polish passport. So I was like, what route is going to get me to play pro easier? Instead of sitting on the bench Division I, I can actually immediately have an impact, play CBL, hopefully my second, third year. I'm very thankful that it's starting this year. But
did you have some interest Division I?
Yeah. I was in communication with some schools, and I'm sure if I would have waited longer, or even went to prep school, which I was also thinking about. But I would have been able to go, but I thought being here is the best option. The money was good. The living closer to home is good. I'm home now. And also knowing people like Brian Wallach and other guys, important guys that have already gone through it. And, I'm rooming with Brian, so I get to learn. I've already learned so much. He's been there for 100 years already. So it's your
old ass out of U Sport, Brian Wallach. For sure. But you're right, those mentors are important, and it is important to have those people. What was it like, kind of making that choice? Did you feel like people were pushing and pulling you, or did you lean on the home front again and know that the people that were in your corner the whole time were the ones? Does that make sense what I'm asking you?
One more, ask it again.
Like, so to make that decision, were there a lot of outside factors? You touched on it. You're like, you guys are in a different time and era now where it's like prep, and you've already mentioned the COVID year, right? You're thinking, I'm like 18, and there's some of these dudes playing out east that are 24 years old. Like, that's the difference between, like, literally a boy and a man. A young man and a man and a grown man, right?
Yeah.
Was there outside noise getting in your ear, or was it just like dinner table conversations and leaning on those people in your house? Yeah,
for sure. There's I see other people going down south, and it's like, that's noise. And then I have people saying, oh, I could get you here, or even other schools saying, we'll give you this, right? There's so much noise to think about. It was a lot to think about, and a part of me is glad I got it done so early. But also a part of me is like, maybe I should have let the noise, continue a little longer. But overall, I'm happy with my decision, and I'm glad I did it that early, because then I could just focus on high school. But yeah, noise wise, there's all angles. It was, and then I really leaned on people, like had a lot of conversations with Kirk, a lot of conversations with my dad, unbiased people. Obviously, you don't want to ask, I don't want to ask Kevin Hansen, hey, should I come here?
Yeah.
I got to ask the unbiased sources, and, they lead me the right way, and it's showing now how it was the right way. So, yeah.
Do you find it hard and challenging? Like the TikTok, Instagram, like the instant comparison of everything. Was that hard for you through high school, or are you a pretty low key guy with that stuff and sort of never really let it bother you? Like, I don't know how kids your age, I mean, you're an adult, you're a university student now, but in high school, I just couldn't imagine what it would have been like for me. Like, I would have been completely distracted.
I kind of love the social media side of it.
Yeah.
Like after we beat
like which
St.
parts?
George's, I mean, just like all the social media, all the videos, all the, like, I like that, getting more people out to games. I mean, in grade 8 and 9, I would go to senior games. There'd be 5 people in the stands.
Sure.
My grade 11 and 12 year, it was packed every game. I've never seen, I don't think anybody's really seen packed gyms like they did the last 2 years. And I think that's really because of the social media side. Now there's definitely a downside to, if I would get these mixtapes from these, content creators, I can't send those to coaches. They're just videos of me walking around, shooting a free throw, giving people handshakes. That's not right. Kids do think, okay, I should send these to college coaches. Don't send the videos of you doing handshakes to college coaches. So that's one drawback. But I think notoriety wise, getting your name out there, and even just overall attendance and attitude toward basketball, I think it's really helped. And I liked it when I was in high school, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say the last 2 years for sure. To have it flip the way it did since COVID and have zero, almost went like 200%. The attendance was insane. Like 2 years ago I remember walking around the concourse, it was like elbow to elbow, man. It was like you're in some freaking town in India, like with a million people everywhere. Like, it was crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you make a good point. Don't send that to college coaches. What should they send? Like, is it their huddle film? Like, what did you send to college coaches?
I would go get like raw minutes of games, like 3-4 minutes of like a good game I played where I'm playing good defense and I'm shooting good shots, even if I miss a couple.
Those must have been hard to find. Hey, the defensive ones?
Yeah, very hard.
Sorry, bang, bang, done.
I set you up.
Yeah.
And then, or like if you have synergy, go get good clips off there. Or you can send coaches your synergy. And even just full game film, But I feel like nowadays with all the transfer portal and stuff, you got to have people vouching for you. So you got to go out and you got to know people, right? Even if you just got to, back to the point, you got to go to these ID camps, these tryouts, you got to go know people. And if you know people, you're going to get somewhere. That's, even if you have great film, if no one is seeing the film, then you're not going to be able to get anywhere. So,
and I think, like, don't be an asshole. Like,
for sure.
Like it's great if you have connections, but you need people to vouch for you.
Yeah.
That's their name. So they don't want to get a call in like a year going, yo, who's this guy you sent me? Right. He's a total idiot. Right. So you got to carry yourself the right way, maybe a few less of these. No, I'm just kidding. But definitely it is, those are some great points. And this is why, bringing younger people on, I never would have thought of that perspective in terms of does help getting your name out there, right? Like that for sure does that. But then it's on you to almost essentially in a smaller way, you're kind of building your brand from that. If that makes sense. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, let's get into UBC year one as a T-Bird, man. Obviously you were out ton of runs probably in the summer and off season, but you finally get on campus there. What were some of the biggest adjustments for you other than, having your folks not being there to like wash your drawers every weekend, but until you drove home? But like, what were some of the major adjustments for you other than the weight room? Anything across the scope for a freshman? I mean, UBC is like, I went to Brandon, dude. That's like there's like 4,000 students there, if that, like 1,500. Like UBC is literally like a city. It's wild.
Massive. That's huge. I mean, finding where classes were, that took a day. That took a full day before classes started. I had to walk around. Sometimes I'm walking 15 minutes between classes. Like, that's draining. People don't realize that that's draining. Like, if you're
a serious walk.
Like if you're like at Brandon, right? Like, I'm assuming your classes were pretty close to the gym.
Oh yeah, there's like one building. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have practice, then lift right after. We'd have to go walk 15 minutes to lift. Then I would have 2 different classes. So now I'm going class. The physically taxing, that was a hurdle that I had to get through right away. And then getting up to practice the next morning at 8 a.m., that was a big one. And then,
did a scooter ever cross your mind?
I was thinking about it. I was actually thinking about getting an electric scooter. A couple guys on the team have electric scooters.
Do they? Yeah.
Yeah. But, and then also a lot, I didn't think about this in high school, but creating a routine. So by the 8th, 9th, 10th game, I had a routine down. And then that's when my stats started getting more consistently better. Like actually creating a pre-game routine 24, 48 hours before the game. Like when we would travel to Sask, you do the same things that you would do at home. So it's not completely different. That's something that I definitely had to teach myself or take techniques from other guys.
So is that you just observing other guys and then being like, okay, because it's a good point. When you're like 17, 18, it's dawns for pregame, right? Like you take things for granted. It's like I can just roll the ball out and 85% of the teams we play against, I can get an easy 25 on.
Yeah.
Right. And then the grind of every day. So why did it click? Was it because you were struggling early on, or you just thought like this might elevate things even more for me? Or did you feel like you're scrambled eggs?
Well, a couple things weren't working for me. Like I found out McDonald's McGriddles does not work before practice.
Sausage or bacon though?
Sausage for sure.
My man. Let's go.
I would try to do things that a guy like Brian would do. Take espresso shots before a game. Didn't really work for me. So I was getting my own things, and then I ended up finding my own routine. Come to the physio room hour and a half before the game, do these stretches, go. I would go sit. I actually started doing this. I would go sit at the very top of any arena, like very top, and just watch the court. It'd either be the girls' game or an empty gym. I would just go sit up there and watch and just look at the court for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, then go back to the change room, reconverse with my team, and then we would do our thing. So that became my routine. I found it started working for me. And then I plan to do the same thing next year for sure.
What can we say about the people at Parkside, especially our guy, Sam Payne? A huge supporter of basketball in our community. The gentleman does many things behind the scenes that people don't know about. And one of those is supporting our podcast from literally day one. Sam reached out to us and said, hey, I like what you're doing. How do we get involved? And what you can do is find them at any local government store or come down to the brewery, sit on the patio, sit in the back, listen to the music, come for music trivia night, whatever it is. The wide variety of beer that they offer is second to none. And Port Moody and the Brewers Row is a great place to be. We are so appreciative of Parkside Brewery, we can't even say it in enough words. Head down. We hope to see you Parkside. And if you can't, find a way to support because they do a lot for us. Cheers. I just need to pause a little bit. Thank you for saying all this, man. I mean, we are all over our guys at the high school level, just like the importance of a routine. Like I say it on the example I give is, your parents or your guardian, or if you have one parent in your household, whatever, like, do they have a routine? And they all go, yeah. And I'm like, why? Why do people have routines? And they go, I'm like, because it makes you comfortable, man.
Well, I'll sympathize with your players because
not allowed. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
When people said it to me, I was like, that's silly. Like, I don't need a routine, But then when you're actually doing it so often, so many games, you have to. And I learned from myself. So anybody listening that wants to listen from a younger person that just went through it, please get routines. They will help you a lot for sure.
Nice. Love that, man. Yeah. Makes you comfortable, makes you feel, I'm the same. My wife wants to kill me when we travel. Cause I'm like, I got to be at the airport a certain time before. I don't want to be rushed. I want to be, like there's, and some, maybe I could let go a little bit, but I have a hard time, man. Like we we still laugh too about our coaches, what like stuff that we do for routines, right? Like it's still there. It's still there. It doesn't leave you. What were those first few practices like when the ball rolled out? Was it like, oh boy, or what's your approach there? Are you a watch and learn and, compete when it's time? Like, how do you go about all that?
Yeah, there's definitely some learning curves for sure, like the speed of the game and going from Kirk's high school practices to university high school practices. Like they are a lot different. And
I think Kev's changed too, right? Like you guys practice midday too, right? Like 10 a.m. sort of thing. Like your times are, like it's different.
They fluctuate every
3:34. Yeah.
After school. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of things but then what really got me in the mood in the groove was our first exhibition game was in end of July. We played against UCSB. They came to UBC and I got into the game. I sat about the first quarter and a half. So I was
that's the longest you've ever sat, probably, right? In
first
3 years. Yeah.
Longest I ever sat. I was like, wow, is this how it's going to be? So I was a little bit frustrated. Got into the game. First shot went in and I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. So then that really set me up. And also just playing in the runs, like going to university runs. Obviously, that's not exactly how practice is, but it gets you used to these college players' physicality and size, height, speed. So I was pretty comfortable coming into it for sure.
Yeah. And let's lead into that a little bit more in terms of, because I think a lot of guys and girls are like yourself, like, well, I was a good high school player. Like, where's my burn right away? Right. And so how did you work through those moments were there other moments where you sat for a quarter and a half, or did things happen quickly where it was like you were first sub, like pretty quick into the season? And are you going back to that tennis book, or what, how are you maintaining a level head, understanding, hey, it's like, well, that is the summer, but it's November and I want to be playing my best hoops in March, but how do you do that? Right now, it's like, I got to prove myself in practice, which at times you probably could take a practice off. Kirk might ride you about it or be on you, but you're like, whatever, I'm tired today. That doesn't really happen for a fresh. How many dudes that step in and just instantly dominate, right?
Yeah, not many, yeah. So yeah, there was I had to earn a lot at practice for sure. And, preseason, I had a really, really good preseason. I mean, that was some of the best basketball I ever played. So that really carried into the season. There were some ups and downs in the beginning, lots of traveling. I mean, we traveled 4 weekends in a row, Winnipeg, Sask, Manitoba. Like it was ridiculous. We traveled.
That's rough, isn't it?
Yep, 4 weekends in a row, cold places as well, freezing. And that was a tough start. And then again, this is when I got the routines down and then my minutes started being more consistent. And then that's when I started getting my numbers to where close to where I really wanted them to be.
Yeah. And I think people don't really get that part of it, right? Especially with Canada West having expanded what it was. Like when I was playing, it was SFU was U Sport. There was UVic and UBC. Those were the only teams in BC. There was Calgary and Alberta.
Yeah.
Like Mount Royal was a college team. Like, so there was that. And then there was like Brandon, Regina, Sask. Manitoba, Winnipeg. That was it, right? And so we had 4 universities in Manitoba that we would compete against. But I think you get up Thursday, Friday morning shoot, game Friday, Saturday, boys go out Saturday night, Sunday it's a really early flight back. Yeah. And your teacher Monday morning don't care.
Yeah.
Like that assignment's still due. And then if you're back to back roadies, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice. You're on the road again Thursday. Yeah. Like that's a grind, man.
There were some days when we would be, especially it was Vic as well. So we ferried there Wednesday, played Thursday, came back, played Friday, or came back playing Saturday. So there was a month there where I was away more than I was home. And that would be tough it's tough for a lot of people for sure. Mm-hmm. Like you go to this new experience at university, but then you're getting used to university, but now you're gone for a month. Yeah. And you still got to keep up with school. So, people don't realize that being a student athlete, especially at very prestigious academic universities, like these professors don't care about that you're on the basketball team. Like just like you said, like that assignment is due. They're not giving you an extension. So it's tough for sure.
What's a guy like Brian Wallach in his 5th year on those road trips? Is he trying to be positive about it? Does he seem exhausted? What are you taking away from that, knowing that, hey, in 4 years, if you stick all your 4 years out, like that could be you, right? So what's the difference that you notice between like the green rookie who's like, yeah, road trips, and then him who's like, road trips,
Yeah, I mean, he's just used to it at this point. Like he was pretty monotone about it, but when you're with your boys, you make anything fun.
Sure.
So we would make it fun. I'm excited to go on a trip, so I'm juiced. Everyone else is like, yo, relax. Like,
and then obviously, a rough end of the season, right? UMBC gets hot out of nowhere. What are your takeaways? And, like what's the conversation with the team for next year? Is it still sort of up in the air about who's coming back? Who do we sign? How do you take that approach? Are you trying to pull guys in? Are you talking to the guys that are still there? Because obviously there's going to be some hunger next year to get back to it. It was a wild year this year too, right? With what happened at Nationals and everything. And, obviously you want to get to that Nationals for 4 more years if you can. So how do you take the learning from last year and build on to next year?
I mean, there was a lot of like lulls. We had a lot of lulls. Like sometimes we would lose 4 or 5 games in a row, and that really hurt our seeding, right? If we got that bye in that first round, I'm sure we would have made it for sure. But just try to limit those lulls. And how do we do that? We got to figure it out as a team. I think a big thing was we got to be more together as a team. Like I think even Kevin said this, we were kind of forming different groups, but we all still love each other. We're all still boys, but we were forming different groups. I think by the end of the season, I guess we were also tired. We were all just slowly like moving away from it when that should have been the time when we were peaking. So I think somehow being able to peak in that March, and when we got to discuss it as a team for sure. How to peak in March, even though we're going from July all the way to March, somehow have that peak instead of we're peaking in the middle and we come back down.
Yeah. And for you, do you feel a little more comfortable next year being like, I'm going to be more vocal? Were you vocal this year? Or were you kind of like, I don't want to step on toes? Like, what's that like for a first year guy, but a guy who's getting minutes and is super valuable to the team? You provide a lot for that team, right? So, you smirked a little bit there, but what's that approach like?
Yeah, there's like you want to be as vocal as possible coming out of high school. I'm the vocal guy on the team, but going into university, you don't know who's, obviously you're not the captain. You got other guys who are supposed to be vocal. So I did try, but honestly, I probably could have been better looking back. But going into next year, after we'll get into the Bandit stuff, but after playing this whole summer against these caliber guys, I feel confident next year. Okay, I'm going to be a different type of leader next year after the experience I'll have, and I'll be able to, help the team in that respect besides just on the court stuff.
Oh, yeah. Do you take pride in your leadership skills? Is it something that you're working on?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, man, let's talk Bandits. So you already mentioned a little bit, you said maybe by 2nd, 3rd year, but year 1, what's that process like? You get a call from Dylan? Do you get a call from, Kyle, just say, hey man, like we're thinking about this, or did you even know it was happening? And what's your thoughts going into that? I think it's such a cool idea, right? It's such a great way for people like yourself, obviously Brian Diego, who had the experience, to see what the pro game is like, right?
Yeah, for sure. I won't say who, but someone told me they were like, hey, I think you're gonna get drafted. And I was like, oh, well, shit, that's pretty sick. And then I started asking people, and then I can't say who, but someone told me, oh, you're gonna get a text. And I was like, okay. So I waited 2-3 weeks for a text, never got one. I was getting frustrated, and then finally I got a text from Kyle, and then Kyle phoned me that night, and it was pretty exciting. It was because, like you said, I wanted to achieve this 2nd, 3rd, 4th year. And now I get to have this experience now. It's going to be really beneficial for sure.
So do you have like an empty mental journal and you're just going to like soak it all in? Are you going to be like the guy who's asking annoying questions? Like, what are you doing? Are you going to go out there and get after it as best you can? I mean, like a guy like Diego ends up getting, you got some burn, right? So
yeah, I'm going into it with confidence, curiosity, just, you know, playing
nothing
with
to lose, man.
For sure. I mean, they're signing this guy named Tayson Moore, the guy who literally just played for the Portland Trailblazers 2-3 games in the NBA. Like, I gotta ask this guy questions. I mean, he might have to tell me to screw off, but I'm gonna have to grill this guy a little bit for sure. Guys like Nick Ward and, you know, played at Houston NCAA. Like, obviously that's somewhere I wanted to play, but now I gotta ask him about it. I gotta see where his mind's at. He's obviously playing pro now. I want to play there some pro someday. So ask him how that is. Guys like James Karnick, I know he was on this pod before.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had Dwayne as well. Dwayne Notice. So great dude. Yeah. Have you studied the CEBL game at all? Like, what rings out to you that you're like, well, that'll be a bit of an adjustment?
The ball is the ball is weird. It's like an outdoor ball, but
are you training with it?
Yeah. I go there every day at the LEC multiple times. So that's the difference as well. Like from even UBC lifts, you know, we'll have these hour and a half blocks, but with the Bandits, it's like 30 40 minutes of this like different type of training, you know, resting, recovery, all this other stuff. You know, I'm learning all these new mobility things, and then we have all these training sessions, you know, doing drills I've never done before. You know, I train by myself. I take pride in how I train by myself, but even going to these pro individual training sessions, it's completely different. Like, it's the speed and the aggression, just every single drill, every single rep. You know, I take pride in how I do it by myself, but just being here, it's completely different. And I'm excited for May, because May, it's going to be even more consistent, more things per day. So I'm going to be living out at Langley practically for sure.
Nice. Have you met Timothy yet? Has he been to any of the training sessions? He's one of the trainers. Got flat top.
No,
you'll meet him. He's a good dude. He works with our kids, and he works with SFU too, but he'll be with the Bandits. He's one of the training guys. Yeah. And that was one of the things that we went down to the locker room to say hi to a couple of the coaches after a game this year. Yeah. And they had those, the big things with the water in them and all that. And I'm like, man, and this is post game, right? Like, things have changed so much, man. What's your first impressions of Coach Julius? I mean, great guy, but you know, he's hard nosed. He's a no BS kind of guy, right? We've had him on the pod. I've chatted with him lots, and you know, he was out at our clinic this year. He did an amazing job. Such a good speaker, and like, the guy was coaching big time in overseas in Asia, right? Like, he's seen a lot, right? And I think he's a guy who's on that cusp of like a couple phone calls away to crack in the league, right? So, what's your first impressions of him? Is he the guy who's working you out?
Yeah.
You're getting it then. You're getting it.
For sure. I haven't been here that long. It's been about 2 weeks of training. So I haven't gotten the full picture, but what I can say is he cares. Like, he cares a lot. And when you have a guy who cares that much, it makes you want to try even harder, you know, like, just, and the amount of effort he puts in, and I would just say he cares just a lot. And he really loves the game as well.
In case you didn't know, our second sponsor, ATO Basketball, aka ATO B-Ball, located directly at the Langley Event Center in British Columbia. This place has everything you need. I swear, if you walk in and you're a hoop head, there's nothing you won't be able to find. Sale items, Jordan, Adidas, Puma, you name it. The brands are all there. Shoes, jerseys, retro, current, Vancouver Bandits. You can even get every basketball you name. Shout out to our boy Jeff at ATO B-Ball for willing to be a sponsor to us. Go check them out. Check the store, mention us, and who knows, you might find yourself lucky. Thanks to ATO B-Ball. It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's, in a different way, kind of what Dwayne said about him too, was just sort of like, I know that this guy if I become one of his guys, right? Like he'll go through a wall for me. You know what I mean? And if you buy in and I think too, he's got to love the game. Like for him to now, obviously he made family choices as well, you know, living in BC as opposed to going back and forth with Asia with his kids getting older and, you know, obviously a wife, but to make that commitment to the Bandits, you know, in a young and upcoming league, that shows a guy who's committed as well, who's going to be grinding not only for the team, but also for the franchise too, right? So you know that you've got a guy who's invested in a lot of different ways for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I mean, I've heard him talk about it. It's a great league to play in, but it's tough to coach in. And I definitely see where he's coming from there because it's such a short season. You know, the guys are so talented that they could just leave at any moment, go to the summer league in the NBA. So it's definitely a lot of respect that, like, I have a lot of respect for him because of all the effort he puts in, even though it is definitely a tough job.
And it's such a short time to get guys to buy in. I mean, again, you're the young grasshopper. So you're like, what do I do? What do I do? But some of these dudes are like, yo, man, like you can't talk to me. Like, you know what I mean? And that's like, all right, on your way and bring the next dude in. And we only have 7 games left, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. That's amazing. Before we do some fun questions and find out your favorite cereal, in a perfect world, what's the future hold for Adam Olsen?
Perfect world. Hopefully get on the junior national team, the U23 team, hopefully play there. I mean, I have my Polish passport now, so maybe play on that team. And then in a couple of years, whenever the best opportunity arises, you know, hopefully get overseas, and with the connections I have, I'll hopefully get a decent contract and see where that takes me. Hopefully I can ride this basketball wave for as long as possible.
Love it, man. Yeah. And it's like doing this podcast has been such a, like, selfishly a great adventure to hear people's stories and the things that people have seen and done and had the opportunity to do just by playing overseas basketball is like, it's amazing. Right. So awesome. All right, man. I'm going to hit you random. Okay.
Here we go.
Do you have a hidden talent that anybody, like, other than doing TikToks with Brian Wallace? I don't know why you let him rope you into that. I don't follow the guy, but I watched him, and so now I'm on the feed, man. I was like,
that's definitely a hidden talent. I'm actually
you got low key a few fans there too. Hey, buddy, you better watch out, man. I see the comments.
Oh, yeah. Hidden talent. This might be a weird one, but I'm Polish. I can play a mean polka on the accordion.
Get out.
Yeah.
Tell me you have an accordion in your room right now.
I don't. But
okay, well, we'll make sure Kirk has a barbecue this summer. You're invited, and I'm coming, and you better bring something. I want to see.
Oh, here we go.
Have you played for the boys at all, or no?
Well, when I was back in elementary school, my mom was a music teacher, so I used to come in and play. Or Kirk's seen it. You can ask Kirk about it. I used to go out there, and that was when I was young, though. But
it's out there now, man.
It's out there now.
You need to touch up on the skills. You got to get there. Okay, well, you brought up something musical. Dead or alive, the artist doesn't matter. What are a couple of concerts? You got the best seat in the house, best like sound, sights, whatever. Who are you going to see? Could be someone you've seen already or someone you want to.
It's 2 artists, actually. It's the piano battle between Elton John and oh my God, what's the guy's name? I'm blanking on his name.
Billy Joel?
Billy Joel. The piano battle between those 2 guys. I heard it was crazy. I need to go see that.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was unexpected. I got to take a moment. Yeah. Wow. He threw a harsh curveball here. Okay. I like it. I
got old school music taste, man.
Yeah. This guy's an old soul. Okay. So what are you listening to pregame? Like, what do you?
Pregame, always, whenever, again, my routine, I'm walking out of the bus, going into the arena, Money for Nothing, Dire Straits. Yeah. Every single game. So when you see me walking into the game, just know that's in my ears.
Chicks for free. Wow. He said Dire Straits.
Yeah.
Are you even 19 yet?
No, I'm 18. So
you've been raised right, though, son. You've been raised right. Wow, that's amazing. I love that. Wow. This just took a total turn. I was not anticipating any of this. All right, it's maybe Friday, Saturday night, off season, chilling, throwing a movie. What bag of chips are you going to grab? And if I feel like you better say hard bite, but hard bite gets enough love. But okay, go ahead. Because listen, the coach's room at our tournament is like notorious for being pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But then the moms always put out, like, they get the whatever bag of the little ones from Costco, and then Kirk's always like, Mitch, like, can we get rid of the Ruffles, man? And then he'll bring like his own little box of hard bite or whatever. Yeah. So
I'll be honest. These are my two. Barbecue Pringles are number one.
Wow.
And then barbecue hard bite are two. Barbecue hard bites, you got to go try barbecue hard bites.
Is that the red stripe?
Yeah.
Oh, they're good.
Barbecue hard bites. I'll crush 2 bags of those any day.
I like a spicy dill. I'm down with the spicy dill.
The spicy dill is pretty good as well.
The ghost pepper is pretty good too. Okay, barbecue. Yeah. All right. Pringles, huh?
Oh, Pringles are top.
Just pounding the end like tube. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Thin, not too much crunch, good flavor. All right. If you're to have a choice, would it be books or movies?
Well, movies for sure.
Okay.
I told you I only read that one book that Kirk gave me.
That's true. Actually, it is other than the signed reading from university this year, right?
Okay, I read
that too. Yeah. Okay, so then what are some of the go-tos? Is it like action? Is it drama? What kind of
comedy,
anything?
Man. It's Will Ferrell comedy. That's or it's the old Naked Gun movies. Come on, Airplane. That's where we're at, man.
Stop the cap. No, there's no way.
Naked Gun 1, 2, and 3.
Like
Police Squad.
Police Academy. Come on, man.
Police Academy. We know these, man. That's what I watch. Those are the comfort movies. The Step Brothers.
Dumb and Dumber.
I never really got into that one.
Really?
No, I'll be honest, yeah.
Give it another try for me, okay?
I will.
Come around, man. That's a classic. Wow. I think you've referenced, we're 133 in. You are a first-time reference on a few things. Like, I don't know if anybody said Dire Straits. I don't know if anybody said Police Academy, Naked Gun. Wow.
Yeah. I'm putting people on here, man. Those are great movies. Those are good movies.
For real, you are. Okay. What's the greatest cereal of all time? I don't know. Do you still eat cereal?
Just had a bowl today. I don't really eat it much. Didn't really eat it much at UBC, but throughout high school, I lived off Vector. Vector is number one.
Fruit on it, or just straight up with milk?
Cut it up, some strawberries, put it in there, but
not mad at it.
Vector's number one. Okay. Vector's number one for sure.
Like, by a long shot.
There's nothing that competes with Vector. And then you get those granola clusters in there. Over. Yep.
The man knows what he likes, people. There's no debating that. Okay, so I'll let you take this however angle you want. It's you and 4 guys. Yeah. So you can pick like your favorite 4 players of all time. You could pick 4 teammates. You could take whatever angle you want. Let's say you're at, is there a dope outdoor court in your area, or are we at like Kitts Beach?
Or Kitts Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be at Kitts Beach.
All right. So you take it however you want, man. It's you and 4 dudes. We're going to run for the day. No losing because you won't be able to get back on. What do you got?
But are we playing against like NBA caliber players?
You can't ask a question to a question, man. Come on.
We're just playing the Kitts goers.
Don't overthink this. What do you got?
Okay.
Let's do both. Pick your 4 best players, and then pick 4 guys that would be the funnest or the best that you'd have the best time. The 4 guys that are going to pass the most to you and get your rebounds.
Okay. I got me, my favorite player, Duncan Robinson. We're taking him. We're taking Max Strus.
Wow.
We're taking We're taking Sam Hauser on the Celtics.
Okay, so you just made me go from feeling like you're an old soul, and now I'm feeling really old naming these guys. Okay.
Yeah. And then we need a center to get us boards and kick it out to shoot. We'll take Dennis Rodman. That's a squad. Squad.
Just Dennis chasing things around. You can have
4 shooters and Dennis Rodman. That's a squad.
Wow.
That is a squad.
Okay. Who are the 4 guys, like just teammates, buddies that you're running up and down with? You got those?
I gotta go with my boys from Elgin, man. Any 4 of those guys from Elgin. Kendall, Cy, Rawlings, Geets, any of these guys. They're on my squad. It's gonna be a fun time for sure.
Okay. I like it.
Yes, sir.
I think that covers them all. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, yeah. Who have been some of the most important people in your life?
I mean, I think we've gone through all of them. My dad, obviously everyone else in my family for sure, but definitely basketball-wise and life-wise, my dad, Kirk, the guys over at Athlete opening up BC Prep every morning.
Yeah. Good shout out.
Mike, my guy. Mike, yeah, those are.
I got Mike McDonnell stories for you too. Offline though.
I need those.
Offline. Nice. That's it.
Yeah, that's. Hopefully, Kyle's a good mentor to me as well over the summer, and he gets in that list. And Evan's also.
I think with that question too is like, it's kind of situational. It's like a book, right? It's like chapters. So it's like when you're younger, maybe there are some people a little bit older, and then like maybe a few years ago. And so it's like, you know, as you continue to grow and develop and change, there'll be other people in your life too, right? So yeah. Dope, man. Okay, last question for you. Who do you want to see on a hoops journey?
Well, we talked about Kirk.
But you're the plug though.
Yes.
So yeah, Kirk, we can team up on him and like force him to. Yeah.
I'm gonna get Brian Wallach on here. He's coming on this pod for sure.
Okay.
I'm getting him on here. Definitely.
Talk about what it's like to eat 36 eggs a day.
Yeah. And do TikToks. Yeah.
Awesome. What's he doing? What's he going to do after this year?
He's definitely going to play pro somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably Greece or Italy. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll get him to tell you.
Okay. Dope.
He will tell you.
Well, let's make it happen before he gets out of here. Any last, I mean, thanks for being with us, man. I love, you know, like selfishly as a high school coach, reconnecting with guys like yourself, you know, watching you play and grow, and then having to be able to hear more about your story and you be able to share it. You gave some really good insight and things, and you can tell you're a fiery guy and you're competitive and you're hungry to continue to get better. So we're excited to see your future. We're excited to see you go check them out, watch, you know, the Bandits this summer, go to a practice, you know, Dylan, Kyle, Andrew, those guys are really good guys. They'll open the doors and have you connected with those people. And I think they do really good community things too. So I think you're going to have an awesome summer. But any last sort of thoughts, reflections, ideas before we let you go, man?
I'm just anyone going through the process of high school or university, just enjoy it, man. I wish I enjoyed high school more. I wish I just stopped and like just enjoyed it, because once it's gone, it's gone. You know, high school was so fun. Even elementary school ball, just you know, all the basketball I played up to now. You know, I wish I could go back and replay it because it was so great. So just take advantage of where you are now and don't keep looking to the future. Just if you take advantage of what's now, the future will look good. So that's what I gotta say.
Nice, I love it, and it is a thing. And I think it's dope that you're sensing that already, not even being 19, because I think a lot of us, speak for myself too, you get to like 30, 35, I'm 46 now. I try to enjoy my moments now way more than I did before because I was realizing that, right? And I think the sooner you can realize that and just sort of, I know everybody likes to say pause after something inappropriate or whatever, but literally pause and think like, this is fun. This is some of the best times of my life. Man, my freshman year, like I got to go to class for 2 hours and then I can dick around for the rest of the day with my buddies, whatever it is, right? That's good stuff, man. Old soul. Wow. Some good answers at the end. I'm highly impressed. That was well done. Very, very well done.
Appreciate it.
Man, best of luck to you. Continued success. You're just like a really down-to-earth, wicked guy, amazing basketball player. It's been a privilege, like I said. Yeah, and we're excited to continue to watch you grow. Like I said to all the listeners, if you're in the West Coast, if you can't make the Bandits, make sure you go check out the T-Birds next year. They'll be hungry to get the program back up to nationals, and Adam will be a big part of that after coming off a really good freshman year. Thank you to our sponsors, episode 133, and we'll see you on the next one.